You know, we're pretty active, and it's great to feel like you're living life to the fullest, and then all of a sudden that changes quickly.
In January of 2025, after some follow-ups from previous surgeries, I had a cardiac cath, and they said, yeah, you have a number of occlusions and you have to get bypass and so on and so forth. From there, it was all timed. It was like I knew when I was going in, I knew we had her set up as my caretaker, thank you. And it was all fine, you know, everything was good.
Our plan was that I was gonna be Matt's caretaker, but I was feeling poorly, so I contacted my primary care. He sent me for tests. The blood test was sent to a couple of my physicians. One of them contacted me and said, I'm really worried about the results of this blood test. How are you feeling? And I said, I feel terrible. Then toward the end of February, right before Matt's surgery, I had another blood test and my numbers still didn't look great. One of my physicians called me and said, I need you to go to the emergency room. I'm worried about these blood levels. I think there's something seriously wrong with you. So I was admitted the day before he was due for his surgery.
It was terrible. I mean, it was kind of a strange place for me to be because I was going in myself. And it was triple bypass surgery, so it wasn't anything small. But with her, it was still pretty wide open because when she got in, it took a week to a week and a half for them to figure out what was wrong with her. So that whole scenario was very, very unnerving, you know, because I'm going through the surgery, I'm in recovery, can't find out anything about my wife on the other side of the hospital, you know. The whole thing was just very unnerving in that sense.
I think it was about 5 days that it took them to evaluate me, look at the blood work, figure out what was going on. And then Dr. Gammy came in and told me that I had a heart infection and then explained the surgery to me. You know, he basically said, this is major surgery, this is gonna save your life.
I first met Kay in the hospital. She had been hospitalized with a very serious infection of her mitral valve. The mitral valve is where the blood goes into the main pumping chamber of the heart. If the mitral valve is not working, the heart can enlarge, get weak, and ultimately it can take a person's life. When we went to the operating room with Kay, we knew exactly what was wrong. She had two problems. She had a leaky mitral valve from the infection, and she also had a leaky tricuspid valve, which leaks because the mitral valve is leaky. And so our plan was to repair the tricuspid valve, which we were able to accomplish, and then to either repair or replace the mitral valve. And I inspected the valve, removed the infected parts, did some work to reconstruct it, and based on my experience, rapidly realized that this was not a valve that we were going to successfully repair. And so we replaced the valve with an artificial valve. And you know, that's where experience counts. And I'm fortunate to have been doing this for a long time. And so I knew that she needed a replacement.
Hello. Hi. How are you?
It was huge relief. The fact that she got out of surgery and she was okay was a huge relief. Yeah, because so much of her side was unknown, the little bits of finding along the way, and finally we're at the other end. You know, she's done. You know, the emergency was over, you know. So for me, it was like, okay, we can shift now, next gear, you know, and try to figure out how to get us both back, you know, to where we belonged.
After the surgery, I spent 2 weeks just recovering. The staff was incredible. You know, they would get me up in the morning, ask me if I wanted to walk. Each day I got a little stronger. I was able to eat again. So I felt like I was really on the road to recovery, even in the hospital.
Kay was stoic, she was matter of fact, she was ready to get this taken care of and fixed. She was not excited about having an operation. Few patients are, but she was brave about it. And in the post-operative period, she was a terrific patient. She was a joy to care for.
I would say that I did not think of myself as a very strong person as far as getting through a health issue. There were times in the hospital that I thought, I can't do this anymore, I can't. But then I would get to the next day and the next day, and I think that I have come out the other side a much stronger person, a much more grateful person. But now I feel like if you're being challenged with something, either health-wise or emotionally, there is a part of you that probably can dig a lot deeper and withstand a lot more than you think you can. But I am living proof that if you feel like you can't withstand anymore, there are places inside of you that you don't know you have the strength.
I always knew she had it in her.
Kay has a great prognosis going forward. Her heart is working well, and this problem is past her. We're going to have to keep an eye on her just to make sure everything is continuing to go in the right direction, but her prognosis is spectacular.
It's really a new life, so we're building it little piece at a time. A lot going on this summer, people coming to visit. We're going on a trip. We have our 40th anniversary. We're going to the Caymans for that. So that's what the future looks like for us, is just, kind of keep rolling and seeing where it leads.
We get to wake up every morning and feel like we're so fortunate to be here. And so every day is sort of a new opportunity to do something different and fun and kind of challenge ourselves. I didn't know what I didn't know before this whole thing happened, but I definitely feel like I won the lottery here. Yeah, definitely.